Hey everyone, welcome back to another Ask Mevo Anything. I am Joseph Capehart. I'm the Senior Technical Specialist here at Mevo. Let me throw that logo up. And I'm super excited to have you all back for another Tuesday show. So for all of those returning viewers or any of the new viewers, for our Tuesday shows, you know that we do a single camera show. And then we use external audio, sometimes internal audio. We try to mix things up. But then all of the graphical overlays that you're seeing for today's show are done directly in the Mevo 2.0 app. And we get to show you how powerful you can, how basic or, advanced you want to go with the production. So for all the overlays and everything, all done within the Mevo 2.0 app using Vimeo Producer. And then for our audio, we are using this blue baby bottle microphone. It threw me off the name of it for a second. So let me go ahead and just tab over. For this overlay that you're seeing over here, we are using the producer plan. So I have a PDF that I created using Google Slides. I exported it as a PDF and uploaded it directly to the camera's micro SD card that it's mounted in the back of the camera. So for anyone who doesn't know, you can actually have as many overlays as you want in the Mevo 2.0 app. The only limitation is how big the micro SD card is. So for this production, I'm using a 256, and I only made that change because essentially we had a 16 gig that was, it was capped out, it was completely filled up. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust a few things, it seems, with my audio, see if we can get it to go down just a little bit. There we go. And I am managing all of this with a, this is an XLR microphone, so we're going into a mixer. It's a Xenix 1204, and then that's going into the back of the Mevo Start using the 3.5 audio input directly in the back. So all of this audio is from Blue, and then the 3.5 makes it really easy to, attach any kind of advanced audio settings you want. As always, if you have any questions, make sure you put those in the chat, and I will address those live. And then I know we're live on both YouTube and Facebook, so either chat, we are monitoring those, and we will absolutely take advantage of answering those. If you have any unique ways that you're using your Mevo camera, make sure you hashtag Mevo Camera in your productions. That way our marketing team can see those, and then we will be happy to maybe even share those on our social platforms and get you some viewership. All right, we do have, Joseph is in the chat, so is Nathan and then Dan, so they're gonna be checking those out, making sure all those questions get to me. As I said, for this production, the Mevo Start, the Blue Baby Bottle SL microphone, we have the Mevo 2.0 app and Vimeo Producer. I am going live to Vimeo. Vimeo is going to distribute these, and well, they are distributing those to both of the platforms that we have. And for today's topics, let me go ahead and make sure we just tab on over to the next one. I'm going to talk about the Mevo story, the origin story. We're going to talk about using the methods of streaming, both API and Rtmp. We're going to talk about recording as backups, and then we're going to even get into having backup or contingency plans. Mostly for today's topic, though, I really want to concentrate a lot on the Rtmp. There's a lot of misinformation or misunderstandings about what goes on when using Rtmp and what goes on when you're using the built-in API functionality within the Mevo 2.0 or even just the Multicam app. So we're going to cover both of those API options and Rtmp options in both of those apps. And we're going to specifically talk about YouTube and Facebook, since those are our primary destinations that most of our customers use. However, any destination that uses Rtmp uses pretty similar concepts and ideas and execution when it comes to Rtmp. So before we even get into those, let me go through some questions. As I said, I will be going through questions throughout the show. At each topic, I try to stop and make sure I answer questions specifically for that topic. It looks like we have Gulmi. And I apologize if I completely chop these names up. I apologize. I'm just not that great apparently at reading. But thank you for the questions. Hello. How many cameras can Multicam app handle? So the Multicam app can handle up to 3 Mevo cameras, whether it's Mevo First Gen, Mevo Plus, or the Mevo Start. You can use all 3 of the same cameras, or you can mix and match those and use those however you see fit. Tammy says, is it possible to operate the 3 camera system by yourself? I think. Let me scroll over a little bit. There we go. By yourself live while you're recording, or do you need a helper? You can absolutely do it by yourself. So the Multicam app actually has auto director. In that auto director, you can prioritize shots. You can set durations between shots, how often you want to change. Or you can have a helper if you're trying to get, a little bit more accurate of scene changes. It really comes down to your use case and what you want to do and how you think it could be best executed. It's a great question. So Peter Stone says, hi guys, I'm having issues with the tally lights not working using the Mevo Starts with Wirecast via NDI. I believe I remember this question from last week, Peter. For example, I created 3 separate shots in Wirecast using 3 separate starts as video sources, 1 shot, or 1 for each shot. When I go live on a shot, the tally light goes red. However, when I choose another shot, the light on the first camera doesn't go green again unless I re-click on what is now the preview shot for that camera. I'll send a video to explain, but wondered if you have any idea why this is happening. So I do believe I addressed this, though, in the last show that this was asked. So this could very well just be an issue or a bug that we may need to address. However, I do know when you're using things like OBS or Livestream Studio, if you have a camera, it may not be the primary camera that's active, but if the source is still active, the tally light will also be active. So it really just kind of depends on how that works. I can absolutely check out Wirecast after the show and see if I think we have access to Wirecast. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check. But if we do, I'm more than happy to go ahead and check those out on our end and see if I can recreate the issue. A video would be extremely useful. If you could open up a ticket using the link, if you're on Facebook, we do have a link in the description. You can click that. It'll take you directly to the page to open up a ticket. Mention the issue. I would just copy and paste the question that you put in here. It's perfect. And then, mention the versions that you're using, both Wirecast and Mevo and all of those things. And we can see if we can recreate it, and we'll even review the video and see, what we can figure out on our end. Mark says, will we ever be able to zoom in well using the Multicam app? Absolutely. So you can absolutely zoom in now. As we move forward, we would absolutely love to kind of work on the method of zooming. We would like to work on, maybe not having you rotate the tablet or phone as much. We would like to make it as easy as possible. So if you have suggestions, absolutely go to the Mevo Multicam group and submit your suggestions there. We're always in there. We're monitoring all of our groups and all of the feedback. So if you have a suggestion, you can absolutely put those in our groups, and we will make sure to log those down. But I can assure you that the current situation or the current implementation of Zoom, crop, and all of those things, graphics, they're not in their final stages. This is version 1 of the Multicam app. So there are many changes that we have the desire to make and change. So no better time than now to get those opinions heard if you have any suggestions. Tammy says, will Mevo record on all 3 Camels simultaneously so that I can just edit it later? Absolutely. So if you're using Multicam or even just the Mevo 2.0 app, I would recommend using Multicam simply because you can edit all of those in a single app. It's a lot easier than switching in Mevo 2.0. But you can absolutely record directly to each camera using what's considered an ISO recording. And you can select the resolution specifically for each camera, the format and everything. And then you can just grab it off the micro SD cards when you're done and take it to a computer to edit it there. It's a great question. Super, super great. Thank you all for the questions. Like I said, I'm going to continue to address questions throughout the show. After each topic, we're going to stop. And I have slides to specifically remind me to stop for the questions. So keep those coming. If you do have questions, I'd be more than happy to address those. All right, so let's get on to the next tab here. So for most of the users who know the Mevo apps, we have built-in functionality that goes to destinations such as Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, which is now just Twitter, Twitch, Livestream, Vimeo, LinkedIn, and then we also have Rtmp options. But for this specific topic is API, which is Application Programming Interface. You don't really need to memorize that, but just know that these functions are all using APIs. Basically what an API is it's simply something that sends information back and forth between a website or app and a user. So basically what this is it's put in place by each one of these destinations, and it allows the Mevo app to communicate with the platform without giving us direct access to the platform. So they design an API saying, hey, if you want to go live to groups, you use this, and then you can request information, and we'll either approve or deny it based on the request. So now, why would we want to talk about this? Now, a lot of users love these built-in features, and why wouldn't they? They're convenient. I love them. It's super easy to use. But when it comes to APIs, like I said, the platforms control the data that can be accessed. So essentially what happens is the Mevo app or Mevo Multicam, whatever it may be, they make a direct request to the platform. They say, hey, here's these users' credentials. Here are the permissions they have for the page, group, profile, whatever it might be. And then, Either the server's like, great, that's awesome, go ahead, and it publishes your stream, or else the platform and API could say, that's not gonna work, that information's incorrect, or it conflicts with something, or maybe even the API server for that platform is down, and you may get an error saying, the Rtmp destination is not working or available at this time. A lot of things go into play that causes errors like that to actually happen. So why would you not, or what's a way to get away from an API? If you don't want to use API, you don't want to risk maybe having some kind of miscommunication or a setting error within the Mevo app. And that's where Rtmp comes in. So of course, we all love the convenient way, the easy way to use the destinations, but a lot of this, I want to talk about backups and having things in place. That way, if something does fail, such as a platform's API, then you can still go live and deliver your content. So let's go into the next thing, which is Rtmp. Let's go ahead and make that full screen. So Rtmp is a real-time messaging protocol. It's mainly used for high-speed transmission of audio, video, and data between a Flash player, apps, and a server. So every one of the platforms that we go live to via API, every single one of them offers an Rtmp option. Now, Rtmp, it sounds complicated, but I'm going to go through these next few slides and show you how actually easy it is. And then you really don't even need to worry about using those API options if you choose not to. I've heard lots of feedback through tickets, through groups of users specifically saying that their experience using Rtmp has been much smoother and they're seeing a lot less issues moving forward. So for this specific thing, let's go into where you can get your Rtmp information. So this screenshot was taken directly from YouTube and the YouTube Live Studio, I believe is what they call it. I'm not even sure. The Studio dashboard, I believe. So essentially what this is all of the Rtmp information. On that top layer there, you can see the default stream key. If you actually press that, you can actually create a unique key for YouTube and whatever event you may be wanting to do, and you can create a unique key. Now, a lot of people think that essentially what happens is that they have to create a new key every time these shows start, or after a show ends, you got to create a new key, and that's simply not the case for any of the platforms. Now, there are ways to have basically what's considered like a variable key, maybe. I'm not sure the exact term, but if you never want to access the YouTube dashboard or anything like that again, you can simply create what's called a persistent key, which means that key never changes. Now, the stream URL is never going to change unless the platform does that, but it's extremely rare that they would do that. However, the key could change if it's not set to persistent. And both YouTube and Facebook, and I believe Twitch even, I believe all of those offer persistent keys that you can access. Now, Facebook has a few different limitations when it comes to a persistent key, such as you can only have a persistent key for one of your destinations and not all of them. So if you, for example, I'm going live to Mevo Camera on Facebook right now, and I'm using our persistent key. And actually for YouTube, I'm also using the persistent key. So I set that up in the app, and I never have to go back to YouTube or Facebook again if I don't want to do that. If I don't want to ever transfer that information over again, I don't have to. All of it's already configured in the app. I can press go live, and it's going to publish if you have things set to, auto start or whatever it might be. Now, Facebook typically makes you publish the stream, so you might have to go to an event anyways. But once you actually go there and you press go live, you can send your feed without transferring the key. I get that can be annoying, or that's an extra step you don't want to take. I understand that. But the stability of Rtmp over an API functionality is a lot more stable than using that API built in. Now, so once you actually set up your event, and it's really cool. Let me go into the next slide here. This next slide is Facebook. So let me make that larger for everyone to see. Oh, I thought I did it. Okay, here we go. Awesome. So now once you're actually on Facebook, you can see this is a little bit different than YouTube. So basically what you're seeing here is the URL and key. Once again, that URL is not going to change, and the key can change if you don't select persistent key. And you can see on the left side, it does have an option to use that persistent key if you want to do that. All of this is available on either groups or pages, and even your personal profile page. If you just select go live, and then you select at the top left, it says use stream key, and then that will give you all of that information for you to use. Now, so how do you actually set it up within the app? So I have an example here on the left side. You're going to see the Mevo Multicam app, and then you'll see on the right side the Mevo 2.0 app. Both of them have Rtmp functions. In the Multicam app, you just have to slide to the right, and then you'll see Rtmp. And then in the Mevo 2.0 app, it's the far option right before the Vimeo option. But if you just tap on those, and then you can add a new Rtmp destination. Now, this is what it looks like in the Mevo 2.0 app. You can name your Rtmp event however you want. For our live shows, I make it basic. Our shows are called Mevo Live. So every time we go live to Facebook or YouTube, we always know that we can select Mevo Live, and it's always going to go where I want it to go. And then the URL is going to be what you recently retrieved from YouTube or Facebook, and then the key is also going to be from those destinations. And if you have, like I said, if you set it to a persistent key, you never have to reconfigure this again. You never have to worry about it, which is awesome. Now, this is what it looks like in the Multicam app. Once you actually select add a new Rtmp source, you're going to do the URL and the key, and you can name it once again. Once again, the name of the Rtmp stream, or the stream itself, the name that you're putting here is not what your users will see. This is just so you can identify it for future use. So you definitely don't have to worry about naming it and then it not being appropriate, or like, it's not what you're going to publish to your user. So the name is simply that, a way for you to identify what settings you have. So for us, once again, it's Mevo Live. If we just select Mevo Live, we know that goes to Vimeo, and then Vimeo is distributing it for us, and what have you. Now that the same concept works for everything, like Restream or any of those. You can set up an Rtmp a single time, name it Restream, and then you know that every time you go live with that Rtmp key, it's sending it to Restream or whatever it may be. All right, it's question time. All right, let's see what we've got here. John says, I tried to use Multicam app the last time we streamed. We have 2 cameras set up to NDI via Ethernet adapter, but it said the cameras were already connected to the Mevo app, so I couldn't use it. What am I doing wrong? So when you're using the Multicam app, you cannot be in NDI mode. It's simple. Just disable NDI. The Multicam app does not use NDI, so it just needs to be off. So disable NDI, and you should be able to connect to them in the Multicam app. Josh says, can we add lower thirds? Absolutely. So I've got my lower third right here in the Mevo 2.0 app. You can create these all with Vimeo Producer. Or if you're using things like Multicam allows you to build lower thirds. You can upload your own or build it using the built-in options in the Multicam app. It's a great question. So Ed says, is the graphic functionality in the Multicam app going to be included natively in future Mevo app releases? Are you talking about the way that the Multicam, or the way graphics are implemented in Multicam? Is it coming to Mevo 2.0 in that same way? Ideally, the way I see it, and I can't give you exact answers, but the way that I see that this being addressed, I would imagine that our graphics for both are going to be the same when it's all said and done. Now, whether the timeline for that and when or how it's going to be executed, I can't really tell you. However, when it comes to it being natively implemented the same way as Multicam, I would imagine it's eventually going to be identical. But as it stands right now, they're going to be 2 different methods. It's a great question, great questions. Awesome, keep those coming. I'm going to be here for another 20 or 30 minutes, so let's see here. Oh, well, it seems like Carl says, is it me? Has it chopped the slides? I don't know, let me see. Let me just go back a little bit. Are you talking about these slides right here where I chopped off the phones? Because that's very possible. That is very, very possible. I mean, I chopped off the phones. But if that's what you're talking about, then yeah, it's chopped off. I did that on purpose because everything below that point is irrelevant, and I wanted to make the image as big as possible, so I wanted to use as much real estate using those chopped off options. John says, we need to use NDI as we take the feeds into Pro Presenter and or OBS. I just want to be able to switch the crops on the 2 cameras. Yeah, I know you can't do that. So there's no, there is no NDI output for Multicam. The purpose of Multicam is to basically eliminate the need of a computer where you're just trying to implement NDI. You're trying to implement Multicam with NDI. So yeah, that's just not possible at this time. Maybe in the future, but as it stands right now, Multicam is supposed to be its own individual thing. It's a great question. Great question. All right, let's keep it going. Let me get rid of my lower third here because it's taking up some real estate. All right, let's see here. Recording as a backup. let's talk a little bit about recording as a backup. So when it comes to recording as a backup, the Mevo Plus, the Mevo First Gen, both of those are essentially going to record copies of the stream with any imperfection that may be occurring. So if you have dropped frames, tearing, or anything like that, your data connection's not great and you're getting some buffering, whatever it could be. If you see any kind of issue with your stream, you're going to see that with your recording when you review that in post. So when it comes to the Mevo Start is completely different and is definitely an advantage for the Mevo Start, because the Mevo Start's newer hardware allows it to have an independent recording of the stream, which means any imperfection that the stream happens to have due to whatever various reasons that streams have issues, it's going to be it's not at all going to affect the actual recording. So you can have a full quality HD backup on your micro SD card, regardless of what happens to that stream. Now, what's even better is you actually get even a higher quality than your stream would technically be. So when you're streaming at 1080p, you're looking at about 6 megabytes per second as a consistent bit rate, and that's in like an ideal situation. We recommend everyone have 10 megabytes per second. That way you always have that 6 megabytes available to your Mevo. Because upload speeds, as everyone knows, much like download speeds, those things can fluctuate up and down. So when it comes to the Mevo Start, you can actually set the recording to record at 50 megabytes per second. 50 megabytes per second. That is about 8 times greater than it's about 8 times greater than what the stream quality would be, and I can assure you that quality looks really awesome when you have that. So if you're looking for a really good quality recording after your stream's over, you can set that to 50 megabytes per second. Now there is something that you should be aware of when you are selecting something like this. When you're selecting something like this, you want to make sure that you have a micro SD card that can write at 50 megabytes per second or greater. If you have a card that writes slower than 50 megabytes per second and then you try to select 50 megabits per second as your recording quality, you're going to run into some issues because your card can't keep up with how fast the Mevo is trying to write to it. So I highly recommend getting a Class 10 micro SD card that writes at 50 megabytes per second or greater. That way you can take full advantage of what quality your Mevo Start can bring to you. We do offer these on Mevo.com, so if you go to Mevo.com, you can take advantage and purchase one of these little guys. I don't actually have any of the packaging with me right now. It is a SanDisk Extreme. You can go grab one of these on Mevo.com, which is awesome. And you can record at that 50 megabit per second and get that awesome quality, regardless of what your bit rate or data transfer, or, any kind of issues you may have with your stream. You don't have to really worry about it. All right, let's get into, Doomsday. This is Doomsday. So I always say, and this is a common phrase that a lot of people use, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And this goes along with the whole topic of discuss. I can't even. Anyways, it goes with the topic of using API or Rtmp, right? So when it comes down to it, you want to make sure you have a backup. If API is having issues or causing issues, then you have your Rtmp configured and you're ready to go. You understand how that works, the process works, and you're configured to use it. I totally forgot I named it Doomsday Preparation at the top of the slide. That's funny. Okay, so then not only that, you want to make sure you have a secondary network solution. Basically what you want to do, let me see. Okay, so you want to have a secondary network solution, right? When it comes to using a secondary network solution, you want to make sure that, one, ideally you're going to bring your own. Ideally, you're going to want to bring your own. When it comes down to it, you don't want to depend on someone else's network, right? You can't control what happens with someone else's network. You just can't control it. If something goes wrong, you want to make sure that you have a network that you can rely on. And typically that's going to be your own, whether it's a hotspot or something like that. And this goes even with Mevo Hotspot. Mevo Hotspot, it relies on your mobile device's data. If you can't sacrifice a production, mobile device data is not the greatest data to rely on when it comes to your production. So if it's a production that means a lot to you, maybe you just don't do it because you don't want to risk it, or make sure you have a backup network if if you have one available to you, that's definitely something you should look forward or look into if you don't have one. And then have a secondary destination plan. So say a streaming issue happens, Facebook goes down, YouTube goes down. You have one already published, right? You want to make sure that, let's see here. You want to make sure that essentially if a platform goes down, you have one available to you to switch to. So if Facebook goes down, we can go live to YouTube, and then we could share that to our viewers, or vice versa. If Facebook goes, or if YouTube goes down, we can go live to Facebook and share that to our YouTube viewers, and whatever it may be. You don't want to completely avoid. You don't want to completely basically put all your eggs in a basket, right? You really don't want to do that. You don't want to say, all right, well, I'm dedicated to only this platform if it goes down. What's really most important is making sure you get your content to your viewers. If you run into issues, then you really want to make sure that you can address those on the fly. Having a secondary audio source. So I know our last show on Thursday, we ran into a bunch of, we were running around trying to figure things out because our audio source was being strange. We tried to switch it out, and we even went through a couple of them. But like, this is key. Audio is so important. So luckily now we are using these blue microphones, which are great. But we've tried to use many things, and we always have a backup. We have 2 other blue microphones just in case something goes wrong. We have a bunch of audio cables to switch out in case something goes wrong. We are ready no matter what happens with our audio. And then have backup power for your camera, right? Or your phone. If you're using your Mevo hotspot mode and you're using your mobile device's data, you're going to be draining that battery. Not as much as if you were using your phone's camera, but you're still going to be using quite a bit of power. For example, let me see if I can do this without zooming in on accident, because I'm pretty bad at it. Nope. Okay. Apparently not. Anyways, I had like 60% battery. I'm probably at like 40% now when I started the live stream. It drains quite a bit when you're using it as a hotspot. Well, I'm not even using it as a hotspot, so that's why it's not draining as fast as I thought it would be. But essentially, have a power source for your phone, for your camera. You know, if you're specifically for like spring sports right now, a lot of people are using these things on the go, and they don't get a chance to charge them. So if you have like a battery pack and you want to use a battery pack to charge your Mevo Start has a 6-hour battery life. So you're going to get quite a bit out of it. But what happens if you accidentally forget to turn off your camera? You're going to want to have a power source available to you. That way you can still, you know, the production must go on, right? So you have a backup. You're ready to go. Awesome. So let's get rid of this. We covered all the topics I wanted to talk about today. Let me get into some more questions. United Methodist Church says, I haven't been able to get clean sound from our soundboard through the iRig HD2. There is an obnoxious hum that drowns out the boards. So Joseph actually is answering this one. He's our audio engineer. He does a show every Friday if you're not aware of audio settings. So he's an audio engineer by trade. He's worked on television, movies. He's essentially saying check your cables. Are any unused faders on the soundboard currently active? And if you want him to actually review some of these things, I would take a picture of your soundboard settings. I would take a picture of what type of cable you're trying to use. I would take a picture of the Mevo app settings, and then open up a ticket. If you're on YouTube, you can go to help.mevo.com. If you're on Facebook, we have a link in our description. It takes you to open up a ticket. Then you can submit all this information for Joseph to actually review, and then he can actually give you some advice on, you know, what may be causing this. What I would also recommend if you do open up a ticket is provide an example video. That way he can hear it and kind of get an idea of what it is. You'd be surprised how much we can actually tell from just listening to a video of what's actually happening. So I would provide all that stuff if you're looking for some assistance, and Joseph would probably be more than happy to jump in your audio settings with you today. Awesome. Let's see. Let's take a look here. Peter says, thanks. He sent the ticket. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. So it looks like all of our questions have been answered. You know, I'm going to go ahead and do some promotional stuff, right? So right now, if you are unaware, we have a Mevo 3-pack available on Mevo.com. This is available for U.S. customers only at this time, but it is available for $999. You know, I feel like I'm never going to remember if that's actually true, but I'm almost positive it is. But I'm going to check just in case, right? I'm going to make sure I'm giving you the most accurate information that I can. Oh, the DJ bundle. The DJ bundle is back as well on Mevo.com. So you can get the Mevo Start case, the Mevo Power Ethernet adapter, the Mevo Start and a floor stand for $593.97. You're saving $65 by doing that. Here we go. There we go. There's the 3-pack. Yep, the 3-pack is $999. You're saving $198 by purchasing this. So basically, in my point of view, you're basically buying 2 and getting 1 for almost free, which is a steal. So you can absolutely take advantage of the 3-pack. Basically, it allows you to get up and running with the multicam as soon as you get it, essentially. You can get it out, use multicam, use up to 3 cameras, and yeah. It's an awesome deal right now. I know those are definitely flying off the shelves, which is another thing. If you are hesitant on it or you're thinking about getting one, I highly recommend you just do it before we run out. Okay, so when it comes to individual sales right now, this sale is good until the 9th of this month. You can take advantage of the Mevo Start. You can save $20 on the Mevo Start. You can save $20 on Ethernet power adapter, and you can save $10 on a Mevo Start case. Yeah, so you can take absolute advantage of all of those things right now on Mevo.com. And now, if you're not looking to purchase anything and you already find yourself referring people to purchase a Mevo product, you can absolutely recommend users to use your referral code. You can sign up for a custom referral code on Mevo.com/referral or /refer, and you will save them 5% and earn yourself 5% commission for any purchase they make on Mevo.com using your coupon code. Now, this, I think, is a commonly overlooked feature. It is essentially allows people to create custom coupon codes, whether it's your baseball league, your church, or whatever organization you may be associated with. You can create this custom coupon code, and users don't even need to know what's going on. All people usually care about is that they're saving money. So go around, help people save money, earn yourself some money, especially if you're doing it anyways. There's no reason you shouldn't earn some type of kickback. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything else. Awesome. It doesn't look like it, so we're going to close that back out. But like I said, Mevo Start 3-pack. Let me see if I have a U.S. customers only right now. Hernando says, hello, sorry, I don't know if you already talked about it, but I have had problems using the multi-camera application when transmitting the Facebook Live with public private settings because people cannot see what I transmit. Have you checked this? So far, I've only had to use Rtmp option, but it's not ideal. Thanks for the question, Hernando. Sorry about the issues that you're experiencing. First off, I'm happy you're using Rtmp because I recommend users use Rtmp in general because that's the professional method of streaming. Anywhere you go, no one's using an API. Everyone's using Rtmp. When it comes to using, if your goal is to be as professional as possible, to give the most stable experience, Rtmp is what you should be using. However, when it comes to the API option, we are aware of some users reporting this. We are trying to recreate it. This was an issue that we had seen previously in version 0.08 or 0.8, maybe it's just 0.8. But it was addressed at version 1. So if it's back in version 1.02, that's definitely something we're going to continue to try to recreate. Unfortunately, as a team, we've been spending some time on it, and we have not been able to do that. But once we actually do recreate it, it should be pretty easy to fix. So just keep an eye out on that. Make sure you have auto update on. Rich says, is the hardware for the mic stand available separate for purchase? Are you talking about the swivel mount? Maybe? I think that's the only. I think it's the only thing that we sell. We don't sell swivel mounts separately, but I think that's the only hardware that doesn't come attached or pre-attached to the stand. So if you're talking about the swivel mount, we don't sell those separately. However, you can find those on. Oh, he's talking about the knobs. Oh, if you're talking about the knobs, we don't sell any spare parts. I'll clear it all out regardless of what it may be asking about. We don't sell knobs. We don't sell swivel mounts separately, none of that stuff. However, if you are specifically talking about the swivel mount, you can actually find these on Amazon. They're not Mevo branded, but they're just $2.20 swivel mounts. They're pretty available, pretty cheap, $10 or less. But no, we don't sell any of the parts that come with the Mevo floor stand or table stand separately. Birch says, what's the best way to connect a Mevo Pro on Boost and the Mevo Start with the PoE adapter Cat 5? We kept having issues. We see both set up as Cat 5 and both on network, but still faced with the setup Mevo option rather than connect. Okay, so you're talking about the Mevo Plus, I'm assuming. The Mevo Plus and the Mevo Start, and you're connecting them both via PoE. Or no, you're connecting them both via Ethernet. So if you're using the Power over Ethernet adapter for the Mevo Start, definitely ensure that you're actually getting a valid IP address from your network. If you're using the Mevo Boost, make sure your Mevo Plus is actually reading that you're using Ethernet. And then also, what's also very important is what type of network you're using. If you're on a hotel network, a business network, a company network, whatever it might be, there's a very good chance that those devices are isolated from each other and they will not allow you to connect regardless of how you connect them. So unless you're the network administrator, you will not be able to modify that. That's typically a pretty standard security setting for companies to have to basically, it's like here. So we're basically in a pretty large building, a shared workspace with a bunch of other companies. And we do all have access to the same Wi-Fi if we so choose. Now, we obviously set up a separate network here. However, if I'm on their public network, odds are I'm not going to be able to connect to somebody else's device for security reasons. It's pretty common for public networks or networks that are shared. So if you're at like a home network, that's where I would check this. Take it to a home network if you're not already and see if that works. If it does, then that's probably the cause, is that security setting that I was talking about. It's a great question. Yeah, but if you continue to have issues, definitely open up a help or ticket at help.mevo.com. If you're on Facebook, we also have it in the description. Take you directly to open up a ticket. And we'll probably ask for a few things because there are a few there's a few things that we can check and see pretty quickly. Signs, I guess, kind of dead giveaways of what's happening. So we might ask for a couple of photos or maybe a video demonstrating a couple of things. That way we can just say, oh, it's a lot quicker if we do it that way, is just ask for a few things, supporting media, just so we can identify and isolate the issue on the spot. All right, let's see here. So we're about 40 minutes. So I don't want to wrap up just yet because I like to really push to about the 45-minute to 50-minute mark for these shows. And it looks like we still have about 30 viewers in total between YouTube and Facebook. So if you do have questions, I'm going to stick around for another 5 to 10 minutes. So please put those in the chat. If you just want to have a conversation, you have something you want to talk about, it doesn't even have to be a question. If you want to talk about something, I am here. Absolutely here. Rich says, sending audio from a headphone mixer to one camera should work. Absolutely. So like the mixer over here, we've got the Xenix 1201, 1204, 1204. And basically the headphone jack output is just going directly to the Mevo Start. So it should 100% work. If you're going to directly to the camera. Now, something to note about this is it needs to be a TRS cable going into your Mevo Start. If you're trying to use a TRRS or an iRig or something crazy like that, you don't need it. Remove it. Use a TRS. That's what you want to do. Bert says, using the Mevo 2.0 app, we see each camera independently as Cat 5. The Multicam app sees them both, but it won't connect. Ended up connecting the second cam to the first via Mevo hotspot. Okay, so does Mevo 2.0, I'm not going to get too far into this. So Bert, what I would do, since this is definitely a technical thing that I have a few ideas of what's exactly wrong. So just go ahead, open up a ticket. Unfortunately, we can't really spend too much time troubleshooting issues through our live shows. But if you do want to get some assistance, go help.mevo.com and open a ticket, and one of us would be more than happy to help. Definitely sounds like some serious or some basic networking issues. Yeah, sounds like some networking issues that we should be able to address. Yeah, because if it's working on the Mevo hotspot, the Mevo hotspot's a completely open network, and if it works when you connect them both on the Mevo hotspot, odds are it should definitely work on a completely open network. So yeah, Joseph went ahead and sent you the help.mevo.com link, and he should be able to help you. Awesome. I'm going to continue to, Rich says, I have too many mic stands already. I understand that. So yeah, so Rich says he's just talking about the swivel mount. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't sell those separately. I wish we did. But if you do need one, you can find them on Amazon for pretty cheap. Ionit says, can I use PoE and USB audio in one Mevo? All right, so if you're talking about the Mevo Start, there are a few ways you can send Ethernet to your Mevo Start and still have USB available, and that would be like using a USB hub. Unfortunately, I have no USB hubs to recommend. Not all of them will work as expected. but some of them will. And this might be a good time for me to request some adapters. I tested all of the third-party Ethernet adapters. If you are specifically using the PoE, then you might run into some issues because the PoE sends power and Ethernet obviously through a single cable, and a lot of adapters probably won't recognize that if you try to send it through a single USB port. But if you're just using a USB Ethernet adapter that's not PoE, that's not our adapter, then you should be able to get away with using a USB hub and then also introduce power into that same hub. But unfortunately, I don't have any adapters to really recommend off the top of my head, but I can absolutely submit those to my supervisor and get us some adapters and some hubs that we can test potentially for everyone. It looks like I got some people have recommended or commented and tagged me in some posts. That's fun. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to go over one more time before we close out today's show. I will hit tickets or hit questions one more time, so please, if you're still here, it looks like we still have about 30 people here, so if you're still here and you want me to address some questions, throw those in the chat, and I will do that immediately before we close out. But I do want to hit this one more time when it comes to our 3-pack. The Mevo Start 3-pack is available on Mevo.com for US-based customers for $999, saving you just under $200, and which in my head is basically a buy one, get one half off or free almost. So definitely take advantage of that while supplies last. Now, these 3-packs will be back. I don't want you to think at any given point that these will not be back. It's just we have very limited supply of these as it stands right now. And I have one, luckily, right next to me. I haven't even addressed it, and these things are awesome. We did a couple of betas for users that received these just to see what they thought of it, and it's been amazing feedback. Of course, it's version 1. There's a lot of stuff we want to introduce, a lot of kinks that we want to address, but as it stands right now, this thing is out of the box working as a multicam solution, which typically would cost you thousands of dollars. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. And then last but not least, we have those other sales for independent. If you already have 2 Mevo and you don't need 3, you can pick up a Mevo Start at a discount right now for $379. And cases and the PoE adapter to basically protect your investment and keep a stable connection. Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. It's been a pleasure. It's been great. I love Tuesday shows. I love interacting. That's what I really enjoy doing on these Tuesday shows. With that in mind, when you do go live, we will be live again tomorrow for the Mevo Multicam show, which Will, I believe, has a pretty cool setup in store for you for that. And then it'll be live at Mevo Camera, both on YouTube and on Facebook. And he's going to demonstrate multicam and everything that has to offer. And then on Thursday, Will and I will be tag teaming the show for our Mevo Live. Mevo Live, if you are not aware, we use 3 to 5 cameras. We're going NDI, Ethernet, wireless, using things like Streamlabs OBS, Livestream Studios. We're using external audio sources. We're using screen sharing software. We're demonstrating Mevo 2.0 app. We're demonstrating the multicam app. And we really get to deep dive into all of these cool things. And we get to use both of our sets. We have a set over here that Will uses. We have my set here. And we get to show you and answer all of your questions live, as always. So if you're looking for the full experience of Mevo, the Mevo live show is where it is at. Once again, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Mevo Camera on both Facebook and YouTube. And then last but not least, on Fridays, we do our full in-depth review of audio sources, whether it's internal audio sources, external, advanced audio settings, tips, tricks, all of those things. As I mentioned earlier, Joseph is our in-house audio engineer, and he has experience working on big productions. So he would be able to answer all of your questions about, whether it's cardioid and all that really advanced stuff. He kind of explains how this all really works. Because, we all understand what those words mean, at least some of us do. But why and how? And Joseph's the one that answered those. So, as always, make sure you like, follow, subscribe on all of our channels, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, at Mevo Camera. Make sure you hashtag Mevo Camera for all of your productions if you want us here at the Mevo team to see those. And until tomorrow's show with Will, I am Joe Capehart from Mevo, and I will see you all then. Oh, I selected the wrong overlay. I'm bad at this game. Well, it looks like I don't have the right overlay. So we're going to go with the referral one, and we're going to sign off from that. Well, thank you all again for tuning in, and we'll see you all tomorrow.